Forget what the documentaries told you. Soviet snipers didn't win concealment with a single, standard kit. They won it with whatever worked when pine needles stuck to wet wool, when optics flashed in streetlight, when a helmet silhouette got you spotted, and when orders from the rear arrived too late. Regulations said uniforms stay uniform, enemy gear stays off your body, and field modifications stay minimal. But in 1944-45, survival math beat paperwork. These are the 7 banned sniper concealment tricks Soviet scouts used in WWII. Number 7. German Zeltbahn shelter halves as ghillie capes. Enemy gear turned against them. Soviet regulations generally pushed uniformity. Enemy clothing in distinctive enemy pattern camouflage were discouraged or explicitly forbidden in many front-level orders, partly to prevent confusion at checkpoints and partly because German fabric could carry recognizable silhouettes at distance. But in the forests and broken ground of East Prussia in early 1945, reconnaissance groups and snipers sometimes made a colder calculation. A captured German Zeltbahn, those triangular shelter halves, could be draped like a cape, tied with its own cords, and stuffed with fir sprigs. It broke the human outline fast. It also shed water better than some worn Soviet greatcoats. If you were crawling forward for hours, that mattered. The payoff was real concealment in dense woodland and shell-torn hedgerows during the East Prussian offensive, especially under the Third Belarusian Front's pressure toward Königsberg. The cost was recognition. Near Königsberg, there were documented instances of Soviet troops engaging figures in German pattern material at range before identification. The same trick that kept a sniper invisible to Germans could make him briefly German to his own side. Number 6. Captured reversible smocks and helmet covers. Wearing the enemy's colors for survival. Late-war Soviet uniform rules were clear about identification. The Red Army needed men to look like Red Army, especially in chaotic built-up areas where a half-second decision could be the difference between a challenge and a burst of fire. Enemy smocks and helmet covers were high risk for that reason. Urban Königsberg in April 1945 punished clean silhouettes. Rubble dust dulled everything. Shadows made greatcoats look like walls. So some snipers and scouts under the Third Belarusian Front used captured German reversible smocks or helmet covers as a practical layer, not a trophy. The reversible pattern spring and autumn tones helped in courtyards, parks, and shattered tree lines where Soviet-issue colors could pop. They also used them selectively. A smock could go on for the approach, then come off before crossing back through friendly lines. A helmet cover could be kept low under netting and grime. It sometimes worked. A shooter who stays unseen can pick routes, choose angles, and avoid a firefight. But misidentification happened. In a city full of smoke and nervous sentries, wrong camo could trigger friendly fire before anyone asked questions. Number 5. Civilian hunting veils and face nets. Civilian solutions on the battlefield. The Red Army issued camouflage in limited forms nets, coveralls in some units, and winter whites, but it wasn't always available where and when a sniper team needed it. Officially, non-regulation civilian clothing could draw scrutiny, especially if it interfered with recognition or discipline. In 1945, with the First Ukrainian Front, sniper detachments and scout elements sometimes solved a simple problem. Faces shine. Cheeks reflect. Breath fogs. A civilian hunting veil or face net thin mesh designed for mosquitoes and wary game killed that human tell without adding weight. Men cut them down, dyed them in tea or mud, and tied them to caps or helmet rims with strain. Some layered a second strip across the nose to reduce glare from sweat. It was low-tech and immediate. In close-terrain orchards, village edges, reed lines, it helped a sniper stay still without being red as a face in the grass. The downside wasn't just military. Procuring these nets sometimes meant stripping local supplies already scarce after occupation and combat. Useful for one shooter, harmful for a community trying to hunt and work. Would you take it anyway? Number 4. Improvised snowsuits from bedsheets. Making do with domestic materials. Winter camouflage existed on paper. Soviet units did receive white overgarments and camouflage capes in some formations, but distribution was uneven, and improvised solutions could violate uniform regulations or simply be frowned upon as undisciplined. During the winter fighting of 1944-45, especially around the Vistula-Oder offensive in January 1945, scouts faced a blunt fact: dark cloth in snow is a target marker. Bedsheets were available where warehouses, abandoned homes, or field hospitals left linen behind. Men cut armholes, stitched quick ties with thread or cord, and wore them over padded jackets. Some rubbed the fabric with ash or dirt to break up the pure white, because clean white can look unnatural against churned snow. The concealment could be excellent on open approaches and riverbanks. A moving figure became a ripple instead of a silhouette. But linen is not insulation. In wind and wet, it trapped moisture and robbed heat. There were cases where effective camouflage came with frostbite and numb fingers, exactly what you can't afford when your whole job is fine motor control on a trigger. Before we move on, if you had to cross a snowy field into a ruined city, which would you risk? Enemy patterned camouflage that might draw friendly fire, or improvised whites that might freeze you out? Tell us below, and subscribe for the top 3. Those get even more improvisational. Number 3. Foliage and gauze, Kikimora, suits. Camouflage that rots while you wear it. Officially, camouflage clothing wasn't a free-for-all. Specialized suits existed in limited issue, but most regulations still favored recognizable uniform elements: rank, equipment placement, and a consistent silhouette that commanders could read quickly. A scout's reality was uglier. In swampy woods and wet spring ground, men built their own Kikimora style suits from whatever they could scrounge: medical gauze, burlap strands, rope fiber, and strips torn from sacks. They stitched or tied it onto a base jacket, then threaded in local foliage right before moving: spruce tips, reeds, dead leaves, because yesterday's greenery turns black by morning. Gauze mattered. It held mud, dulled shine, and let vegetation sit without slipping. Done right, it erased the shoulders first. That's the giveaway shape. A prone man became a low mound, not a person with a spine. Sometimes it worked too well. German patrols passed within close distance because nothing human registered. But the suit had costs. Wet fiber added weight, snagged on wire, and held smell. And if you had to run, it dragged. A camouflage advantage could become a mobility failure at the worst second. Number 2. Non-regulation weapon and optic wraps. The rifle gives you away before you do. Weapons were supposed to stay serviceable and standardized. Optics had to remain clear, adjustments accessible, and serial equipment accounted for. Anything that interfered with operation or looked like sabotage could draw punishment. Out front, the rifle was the loudest visual object you carried. Blued metal flashes. Scope tubes reflect. Even oiled wood can shine against dust or snow. So snipers wrapped what they could. Strips of cloth from undershirts. Gauze rolls from a medic's pouch. Tape when it existed. In winter, white cloth over the barrel and scope body. In summer, mud-stained rags, then a dusting of ground leaves pressed into the weave. They left gaps for heat and for the scope's lenses, sometimes adding a crude shade cardboard, thin leather, even a bent strip of tin to cut glint. The benefit was immediate: fewer flashes, less straight line weapon shape. But it could backfire fast. Wraps soaked and froze, locking adjustments or stiffening the bolt hand. And cloth near a hot barrel can smoke, stink, and announce your position with the first hurried shot. Number 1. Field-made decoy heads and periscopes. A human silhouette, offered on purpose. Doctrine didn't encourage theater. Reconnaissance was supposed to be observation, not provocation. Improvised devices weren't standardized, and anything that wasted time or materials could be judged as undisciplined, especially if it got men killed. Then you hit the real problem. You can't learn what's watching you without letting it see something. Soviet scouts and snipers made decoys. A helmet on a stick. A cap stuffed with rags. A crude head shape wrapped in cloth, sometimes darkened with soot to read like a face at distance. They'd lift it slowly above a parapet, windowsill, or snow lip. For periscopes, the simplest version used 2 small mirrors from wrecked vehicles or buildings, set into a wooden frame or a folded metal strip, giving you a view without exposing a forehead. When it worked, it pulled a shot. Muzzle flash gave away the nest. A safe lane became visible. When it failed brutally. A smart enemy held fire, waited for the real head, or bracketed the position with a second shooter. Tricks don't remove risk, they just move it around. Every one of these banned tricks sits in the same gap. The distance between a regulation written for order and a battlefield built on exposure. Improvisation wasn't romance. It was accounting heat versus concealment, identity versus confusion, one more hour alive versus one more item on a checklist. If you want World War II history without simplification or mythology, subscribe. Brass and Blitz stays with the tools, the constraints, and the choices people made when the manuals stopped matching the ground.